That's actually really dangerous to put us on 24/7. You realize that, right?
No.
And I'm a bitch in the morning
do not
before
pass
my
go.
coffee.
Do not collect $200 with that. Not 24/7. Oh, Mary's going to be like, God damn it, I can never leave them alone again.
That was the plan, right? We were just going to screw this all up so she never skips again.
Hey, get in here. Dallas is about to start.
Welcome to the Ewing Barbecue Podcast. We're a Dallas rewatch podcast where we rewatch and review every single episode of Dallas one at a time. And we play a drinking game to it. Welcome. Can we buy you a drink? I'm Melanie, also known as Imposter Mary for the night.
And I'm Sarah, the ghost of Christmas past that hasn't been here in forever.
Hee hee.
The ghost of Ewing past.
Well, you always go last because you spoke up, so I thought, okay, I'm Brad. Now, who's Sarah? She looks familiar. Have I met her? Have I met you before?
Maybe. Maybe.
So,
Josh here.
Josh, my God, took you long enough, dude.
Dramatic pause. I wanted to make sure everyone was done speaking before I just chimed in. Mary is off doing some paperwork at the Windsor Meadows camp. She is filling out John Ross's paperwork at the day camp.
This show is completely funded by its listeners through Patreon. For those who are helping fund us, we try to give extra content, keyword is try, outtakes, video interviews, archive of fun cast adjacent videos, book club, which is entirely done by Josh now because we gave up. The girls were like, yeah. And also our notes from the first few seasons. Honestly, we kind of gave up on that one.
You don't. I'm doing you a favor by not giving you my notes because the human race cannot read my chicken scratch.
That's fair.
I don't think
mine's kind of like sloppy. Yeah. Okay, so our current paid Patreon supporters are Brendan Phillick, Captain America, Carrie Carver, Amy Hara, Brad Mulholland, Marie Johnson, Corey Springhorn, Michael Young, Jason Carter, Jennifer Indelicato, Laura Bernheim, Carl Reinsch, Anita Wren, and Kristen Carlano. I hope I said everybody's name right. Some of it's from memory.
Is it Delicato?
Indelicato.
Oh, see, I like that even better. See, I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
I used to whenever your name, I used to be like, Mulholland, like every time. And so, look, I'm drinking coffee.
That's funny.
Now.
You don't have to keep saying my name. I mean, I'm here.
Brad has a street named after him out in Hollywood Drive. Actually.
Named after me, yes.
Drive.
Yes.
And a movie. A
couple of them, yeah.
Very creepy movie.
Former baseball pitcher.
Yes.
So you can follow us for free on Patreon. That will give you immediate access to newly released episodes and announcements. Or please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and then leave one.
And then leave one.
Birthdays.
Housekeeping here.
Oh, housekeeping. Birthdays, yeah.
Housekeeping.
Are we all ready for the South Fork experience coming up?
Yeah. Speaking of scripts, I need to remember I've got a script from episode 3, and I need to remember to bring that with me so maybe I can get some autographs on it because I didn't take anything to California. And it's like, I got there and I'm like, that was stupid. Why didn't I bring something for people to sign? I'm just buying pictures like crazy. So
yes, pictures. You got to pack your stuff, get down to South Fork. It's coming up fast, and the podcasts are flying fast and furiously because Jack Scalia joined us for an episode. And he is quite the storyteller.
I'm sorry I missed that. Jack's great storyteller. Yeah.
Let's see. What's today's date? 3rd?
October 3rd.
Today's August 3rd, yes.
August 3rd?
August. We have jumped to August.
August. My God, shit. October. What the hell?
I already did August.
Womp womp. Oh my God. I just made the biggest Mean Girls faux pas ever. Today's October 3rd. Shameful.
Quick throw through birthdays here. Christopher Stone, who played Dave Stratton, he would be 84 years old. He was born October 4th, 1940, but he has passed. John Larch, who had 3 roles, Wally Wyndham, Atticus Ward, and his twin brother Arlen Ward. He was born October 4th, 1914, so he'd be 110, which if he were still alive, he'd be dead. Happy Rosh Hashanah to all of the Jewish listeners out there, or viewers, or watchers, or whatever, however you're getting us. Ian McShane, Don Lockwood, born 1942, September 29th, just a couple of. And Steve Forrest, born 1925. He played Wes Parmalee and Ben Stivers.
I know my reasons for wanting to keep Pam and Bobby apart. But what I really don't understand are yours.
Well, I have a very special feeling for your sister. I hate her.
Your child is disturbed.
Sue Ellen and I do have difficulties that need adjustment, but it doesn't mean the boy's mentally disturbed.
It's a letter she wrote her lawyer. I think you should see it.
I can't do that.
Then I'm going to read it to you.
I won't put pressure on you anymore. I won't rush you anymore. I just don't think it's fair to either one of us.
So tonight we're talking about season 7, episode 3. Shut the fuck up about the letter. That's what we're talking about tonight. Written by David Paulsen, directed by Nick Havinga, and aired on October 14th, 1983. So, other things today that happened on October 14th, 1983. The number 1 song in the U.S. was Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler.
Eclipse of the heart.
Written by Jim Steinman.
Not necessary.
The number 1 UK song was Karma Chameleon by Culture Club. Who's going to do it?
Karma, chameleon.
None of that's necessary.
Are you necessary?
Okay.
Hang on. I have a sound for this. Okay, number 1 film in the U.S., Never Say Never Again.
In 82?
Oh,
83. We're in 83. That's right.
83, yeah. Okay, top news stories. Grenada Deputy Prime Minister Bernard Coard launches a leftist coup with the revolutionary government and takes power for 3 days. U.S. Marine peacekeeper Sergeant Alan Seifert killed by sniper in Beirut. Nobody born on this day. Died today. Willard Price, British author known for adventure stories like Adventure Series. Paul Fix, an actor from Rifleman, dies of kidney failure at the age of 82. And on Dallas, this episode dropped to number 12 in the ratings.
Ooh. World Series time.
The
Orioles and the Phillies in 83, so yeah.
Playoffs. Was it World Series by the 14th?
It could have been because they only had one round, they just had the championship series and the World Series back then. So it would have been, it could have been World Series back then.
As Mary would say, that's sports ball for you.
Sports ball, sorry.
This episode featured the debut of Christopher Atkins. And if you missed our episode with him, you can look on our YouTube channel, a little self-promotion there. He joined the Dallas cast at the suggestion of his manager because Dallas was at the top of its game. And they wanted to keep pace by adding some spice with the younger man in Sue Ellen's life. Interestingly, it was back, as he was saying, when movie stars did not do TV. So it was very rare for them to cross those barriers.
yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it? I mean, it still is in some ways, I think.
Yeah, you don't want to go. You don't want to go backwards, so to speak. So, like, if you were on the movies, you didn't want to do TV, and if you were in TV, you didn't want to do like daytime TV, and then next thing you know, you're doing.
When you think about it, it comes down to a work preference, really.
I think so. Yeah.
Now everybody's doing everything. I mean,
it's a sub industry.
Yeah, because they'll do limited series, they'll do an 8-episode show, and then they'll do movies, and it's across all over the place.
Yes,
stage work.
Right.
Limited series is just like a several-part movie, really.
It's an 8-hour movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's an 8-hour movie broken up into segments. Diana Douglas, who played Dr. Suzanne Lacey, appeared as Professor Tyler on the Paper Chase, and she co-starred with Jim Davis in the TV series The Cowboys. Tony Garcia, remember that name? He takes over the role of Raul, the South Fork butler, and played it through season 12.
Wow.
Yeah, Bruce Botton won an Emmy for Outstanding Music Composition in this episode. And this episode has one of the more memorable ploys by Katherine, which we will get into.
Crazy bitch.
Yeah. And Christopher Atkins tells the story of how when he first arrived on set with his stuff, Larry Hagman was the one who greeted him and actually carried his stuff for him to his dressing room or wherever he was going. It was, I mean, Larry of all people just said, "Hey, let me take your stuff for you," and just carried his bags of stuff, and it was but that's Larry, because Larry was always a class act. I remember at a dinner he went in the kitchen after and thanked everybody who cooked the meal and served the meal, and shook their hands, and it was just not something you see from a lot of people in the industry nowadays. It's just a
I was lucky enough to meet him once before he died, and he was a really nice guy.
Yes. Shall we?
But shall we? We shall. So we open on, Mary said, Pam's hotel night. Let's go with that. So, divorce, right?
Yeah.
Womp womp. The date for the divorce is coming up on the calendar, and her lawyer needs to know if she's still going to go through with it. She's not sure what she should do. She still loves him, but it would take so much for Bobby to give up to make her happy. And then Katherine swoops in and reminds her that after a while, Bobby might resent her for it. I didn't say that right. Resent her for it.
And that is a distinct possibility. I mean, she does have a point that he could resent, but we know what her motives are in this scene.
Pam's waffling. Oh, yeah. And so Catherine's going to be like, playing devil's advocate in that moment.
She's so manipulative.
Yeah, like if you make him leave his home and go do something else, then he's going to always want to come back and work for the family, or he's going to resent you for that. Like he's going to wonder what life would have been like, even though he's been living that life. He would wonder, how maybe things could have worked out. Did you make him choose
and
you?
Mary even put, Pam's now wondering if Bobby's life might be better without her eye roll. She literally put that in this eye roll in her notes. I like that.
And they're all valid points. It's even though we know what Catherine's motives are, they're still valid points on both sides of the coin. And we know JR was not going to let a truce last. I mean, there is a truce between everybody right now, and that's not going to last if
No, it's always temporary.
Oh, it is.
Viewing oil night. JR goes in to see Bobby at the end of the day. Bobby's on the phone with Thornton McLeish. The well still hasn't come in. Bobby says it doesn't really matter when they come in now, just if they come in at all, because they're splitting the company. And he's running late for his date with Pam, but when he calls to tell her, so she says that she's decided not to go because she thinks maybe they shouldn't see each other so much because she has some thinking to you. Eeyore Bobby. That was Mary, not me. I'm not that creative.
Yeah. And even before that, when JR first comes in the office, he lets the secretary's like, well, they have some things to finish up. And he's like, well, why don't you just let that keep till tomorrow? You guys can just go. And he just lets them go home without finishing their work. So JR's in a good mood. He's feeling benevolent, because he thinks he's got everything. He's got a grip on everything now.
Those secretaries work long hours because they're there in the morning. They're there when it's dark out, and
probably made pretty good money.
I like how JR says he's come to siphon off some of Bobby's alcohol, though.
Yeah. He's running a little low in his office. Better go check the others.
Well, JR, if you weren't drinking all day, every day.
Right? Functioning alcoholic, if I've ever seen one.
Yes.
Barely.
Barely is right.
Through the magic of television, he's functioning, yes.
So then we have.
Honestly, now that I think about it, I wonder if that was what made him so mean. Part of it, it just amplified it. Mary was like, "Is this a hotel or a mall?" I'm not really sure, but JR wants to go out to breakfast with them, and Sue Ellen has no time for any of his bullshit.
John Ross is wearing his little suit as they are leaving the hotel, and
so cute.
JR and Sue Ellen create quite a scene, and you wonder why the kids messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Praise publicly and shame privately.
True.
But you don't do this in front of your kid. And you don't do it in a public hotel lobby in front of everybody. Keep your goddamn business.
Well, she's basically like, we already ate breakfast. I'm not sitting down to eat with you. And she's like, I'm taking John Ross to a psychologist. And JR is like, no son of mine is going to go, no, shrink, blah, blah, blah. And Sue Ellen kind of lays down the law and says, there's going to be a whole bunch of things going on that you're not going to like, but too bad, because they're going to happen anyway.
And it's 1983, so the idea of there's a lot of pushback on the idea of therapy. Taking a child for therapy. That's what is he?
That is true.
Well, yeah, and I mean he had a lot to say about it even when Sue Ellen went.
That's what I was going to say. It was bad enough back then for adults to go seek help, and then
like The Sopranos started in '99, right? And he's seeing a therapist, and that was weird then. Yeah, and now everybody's fucking in therapy. So
I'll take the rapist for $500. You mean
except Josh, who needs
it? No, because they told me that I was beyond help and not to waste their time. So screw you.
Jesus.
But arguing in front of your
oh my God.
But they are repeatedly arguing in front of their child. You think that's going to have a little
not to mention the psychologist talks about it, but like everything that's happened during his lifetime that we've all seen, over the past 4 years. Yeah, it's like his birth.
The custody
battle where they're like trying to snatch him in the airport and all that. I mean, Jesus.
Oh my God.
He was kidnapped as an infant from the hospital by Priscilla Duncan.
Dude,
there's that too.
He's been through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Can you take it down like 2 decibels?
Me?
Who?
No, Josh. You were like blah, blah, into the microphone.
Sorry.
Well,
it's okay.
I had to make that point. He was kidnapped by Priscilla Duncan.
It's a valid point.
Sure was. I mean, that child has been taken more times than I don't know.
A lot of people have had their hands on that kid.
Yeah.
Pamela took him to Abilene to meet up with Sue Ellen.
Sorry, did he?
Pamela dragged him to Abilene to give him to Sue Ellen.
Oh, Christ. I hope Mary edits that out. Shit.
That was quick-witted for a Thursday night for me. Thank you.
JR tried to get his own mother to take him on the helicopter from the Southern Cross. I mean, the kid's a pawn.
I hated him for that.
That was horrible.
I hated that. That was
sad.
That was. And I'm so glad she stood up to him. I'm so glad she put him in his place. That motherfucker. Anyway, so now we go to Fort Worth for a cattle auction with Bobby, Ray, and Donna. The three Musketeers.
This scene always sticks out to me, right? Like, for some reason, it's just like, I know this scene is coming. There's like Ray and Donna and
I said the exact
Bobby,
same
like,
thing.
all wrapped around each other, walking across the street. Yeah, maybe it's Donna's red shirt, that bright red shirt. I don't know, stamped up. But
that's like just an establishing shot to say they're going to have a day out. Mm-hmm. And then in the next scene, Pam's playing drums with Christopher, and Cliff comes in his white suit jacket, like a plantation owner or something. And
Colonel Sanders. What are you talking
plantation owner?
Yeah. And he wants Pam to go with Pam and Christopher to go with swimming with Afton and him. And although I don't picture Cliff in a pool, did Cliff ever go in a pool?
I don't think we ever saw him in a pool.
When he got thrown in,
unless he got
by the pool.
Yeah, he swimming laps in a hammock.
He got punched in the face and ended up in the pool at JR and Sue Ellen's wedding.
I don't think we've seen him in just his trunks. No,
a banana hammock.
Banana.
Not him.
Matching speedos with Bobby.
God.
A note rope holder.
Yeah, and Pam is in no mood. Cliff convinces her to go and says she's no fun anymore. Womp, womp, womp.
Womp, womp, womp.
And of course, Cliff is motivated by business and money.
Always.
You have to hang out with Mark. He's
Porn
the coolest dude ever.
Porn stash.
Well, Mark's
porn
the
stash.
Influx of cash that they need. Porn stash.
Yes.
Can't talk. Porn stash is the influx of money they need.
That's right.
Because isn't Cliff talking about an oil company now? Hasn't he been talking about that last couple episodes?
Talking about forming a consortium with him and Porn Stash and having Pam in the office next door. But we have to go through JR and Katherine discussing the state of Bobby and Pam's marriage.
JR needs Katherine to do her part to stop Bobby, and we actually have a clip.
I know my reasons for wanting to keep Pam and Bobby apart. But what I really don't understand are yours.
Well, I have a very special feeling for your sister.
Oh.
I hate her. She's been a thorn in my side ever since she married into my family. And I want her as far away as possible from anybody named Ewing.
Ooh.
He's a shithead.
I do love, he is a shithead, but I do love that. You know, I have one feeling for your sister. I hate her.
He doesn't mince words. He gets right to the point. Do you notice, though, that in this scene, Katherine goes, well, you and Bobby called off the fight. And he goes, well, Bobby has.
Yeah.
But
it didn't take long for him to turn around there, did it? All of about
he never says he called off the fight.
Yeah.
I shook hands with him.
Mm-hmm. Gave him my word.
You know, gave him my word.
Oh,
my word is as good as
technicality.
My word is as good as, well, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we are at Suzanne Lacey, PhD in child psychology. Given John Ross some psychiatric tests, which she will analyze and tell Sue Ellen the results of tomorrow. She thinks it's good Sue Ellen brought him in because he does seem to be a bit disturbed by the family issues.
Mr. Ewing, your child is disturbed.
No
Poor
shit.
John Ross is disturbed.
That actually, that scene actually comes up when JR goes to with her for the results.
Oh yeah, that was later. Yeah.
Fuck.
But that's okay. We can fix it. So like the test.
But that's okay.
But that's actually the clip. Actually, Mary was telling me it made her laugh, and I don't mind using that as a repeater over and over. I mean, it's terrible, but it actually is.
So the writers don't know exactly.
I believe Norman Bates was disturbed too, but that's a whole different reason.
The writers don't know what happens at a psychologist's office, so they're just going to say tests. We put him through some tests, and we have to evaluate the tests, and then we'll get back to you. And just leave it at that, because the audience is probably stupid at this point too. So why not?
I'm sorry. When I went in, it took them 30 seconds to look at them and go, "You're beyond help. Don't even waste your time or your family's money.
Get the fuck out of here, Josh.
Get out of our office."
Wait,
were you there? Were you there too?
Don't tell anybody you were here.
Were you at that appointment too? Mm-hmm. Did you hear that?
I came in right after you.
Oh wow!
I got the same results.
But the doctor also wonders if Sue Ellen and JR would consider couples therapy.
Yeah, maybe they should fix that.
And Sue Ellen's like, no, but I've got something in mind.
She's got the solution.
That's what she said.
Separate bedrooms and
I forgot
when the bed broke.
That's what she said.
Yep.
Back to the cattle auction. Ray has won a round at the cattle auction. He has come out victorious. And every time I see a scene with an auction in anything, I am just mind blown by how fast those auction people talk.
Yeah, and these scenes like the cattle auction.
Sorry.
Look at that. I understood all that, yeah.
They used to call me Micro Machine when I was
Cajun
little.
scat, whatever.
But these kinds of scenes, like, they don't necessarily add anything like to the story, the plot.
Fillers.
But that's what was missing from the new Dallas. I thought was like,
they add
riding horses.
Exactly.
It doesn't all have to be intense drama. Kathy or Cindy Sider. We can have a little bit of.
It is like having the underlying or the supporting cast that you recognize that comes back recurring over 10, 11 years, like the Slys and the Phyllises and the Jordan Lees and the Franklin Horners and just the Dora Mae and all the people that the members of the cartel. They go away, they pop in, they go away, they pop in. They're
have so many dirty things
they're
to
the
say.
fabric and the texture.
It is a setting for what's, the conversation that comes after it, but just throwing that in there and having, 30, 45 seconds of something that doesn't add to the plot, but adds, like you said, flavor and texture to the show. I think that was important.
Yeah. And nowadays, because there are fewer episodes in a season order, a lot of these people feel like they have to push.
And the episodes are shorter. I mean, this is a 48-minute episode. The episodes are 41 minutes now, or less.
Right, and they feel like they have to push story, and they just don't have time. They drop the character development in a lot of these shows because of that.
That's a flaw. You gotta have both.
Absolutely,
totally. Trust me, SVU fandom all up in there about that. But anyway. So here's another instance of Ray, where you can You can almost hear him saying, "I'm a big dumb cowboy." But he's actually, I feel bad for him this time because he feels like he failed Mickey because I think everybody's put Jock up on a pedestal. Like after his death, they idolized him. I'm like, well, he's kind of a ruthless bastard.
Way too much.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm trying to live up to Jock. I'm like, Ray, you're a better man than Jock was, actually.
Ray, if you're trying to live up to Jock, go out and have an affair in the middle of a war. Father a child, somebody else.
I mean, no, not him. But the first part, the affair, it's already happened. But anyway, and Donna's like, okay, like he's going to do his, I failed Mickey. And she's like, I got nothing. Like there's nothing she can really say to comfort him.
No, he did bring Mickey into that world. He does have a point.
Even those circumstances weren't his fault. I get it. Right. It's almost like survivor's guilt.
Yes. I can't think of the word.
If he had just stayed in the bunkhouse and not been fooling around with the owner's granddaughter.
And that too.
But Mickey also tried to step in and do the right thing.
Right.
That's the part that sucks. He's collateral damage. Right. And speaking of Mickey, Dallas Memorial.
Oh, yes.
But Mickey's awake, and of course, and he doesn't think Ray should spend all his time there.
You can almost hear him saying, "I'm a dumb cowboy" for a minute there in that scene, because he goes back and forth between feeling sorry for himself and then he's making jokes about the situation and making it light, which is good. But yeah, it's like, oh, don't need to make a big deal about me. I'm just a big dumb cowboy. Traction.
We're going to live off of my money, right, Lucy?
In the bunkhouse.
Not up in the big house with the real Ewings.
Nope, you remember the dumb cowboy. You got to go live like a dumb cowboy.
Don't need any Ewan money. Live in that big house, all you Ewans.
That was almost perfect. That was scary. Oh my God.
Do it again.
I've been practicing that since. No, I'm not kidding.
Do it again.
And then we cut to the pool of porn stash.
Later. The pool of porn stash. Oh, here we go.
There it is. Porn stash. Christopher is afraid.
Debbie does Dallas.
Little baby Christopher is afraid of clowns. He's crying at the clowns that are at Porn Stash's house. It's kind of creepy when you have
there are no kids.
Creepy clowns.
We got all this crap
creepy
here.
Clowns and Porn Stash.
Everybody's having a great time except for crying Christopher.
Oh my God.
Afton is frolicking in the pool.
The girls are swimming around or walking around in their skimpy bathing suits with this child who's terrified of
Porn
clowns.
Porn Stash is oiled up and sunning himself next to Pam.
Seriously. Enough. It's creeping me out.
It's one of Josh's
I'm just
dreams.
kidding. It's the Porn Stash.
It's a fantasy Josh has had for 40 years.
Lays back.
The clowns and balloons
rubs his nipples.
Oiled up Mark Grayson.
Porn Stash.
I'm Dad's crying. She's laughing so hard.
R.I.P.
Well, anyway.
It's still going. I feel like we are in a 80s
Meanwhile,
movie right now. We're doing. See.
The only one that still has their clothes on is Cliff Barnes because all he wants to do is talk business.
Yeah.
Business.
Like everybody's got their stuff hanging out except Cliff.
Sorry.
And Pam gets up and walks away. And Cliff is like, "Yo, you got to go after her. You got to put some sense into her. We got to get this thing going with this business deal.
Business deal.
Cliff, the only reason that Porn Stash would do the business is if Pam was there, and they may not end up being together if she goes back to Bobby.
He's being realistic about the relationship.
Is it just me or is it still playing?
Well, yeah, it's playing.
Yeah, hang on.
No, it's funny.
You
have to leave it going as long as Mark is there.
Am I tripping or something?
Porn Stash.
It's still there.
Porn Stash.
It'll come back.
He just ends that scene basically saying they may not be together because she could go back to Bobby.
He's holding true to his vow, though, that he wasn't going to press her. invites them over. Right. He wants to show them a good time, but he's not going to like put pressure on her to make decisions.
And he wants to scare Christopher with evil clowns and balloons while he's oiling up and sunning himself.
Here, he brought in this toy right on this whatever that was, but horse, fake horse.
And Afton loves swimming in that pool.
Yes.
Imagine the wild, kinky parties that used to go on in that pool.
God.
We're talking a lot of porn, a lot of sex right now. Maybe the next
music on because. So JR is visiting Serena.
Yes.
But he's not come for sex though. He's come to talk
and a drink.
And she makes him a drink and a drink.
She's normally his horizontal business associate.
But he's always.
But this time he needs someone to talk to that's not Sue Ellen because Sue Ellen ain't talking to him.
He always talks with Serena too, though. She's been an ear for him for years. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Actually. He gets a little bit vulnerable with her, but then, like, in the same breath, is like, he's like, I saw what I did. Oh, all right, that's enough porn music. He's like, there was a fire and all this destruction, and I feel so responsible for it, and it hurts. But then he was like, but I also know that I do it all over again.
You should have just married the hooker.
That's what makes you J.R. Ewing, she says.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so you are a bastard, but at the same time, I was like, my God, the guy has feelings.
But that's what makes people like Serena moist.
What?
Oh my God!
It's his power and the fact that he would do it all over again.
Okay, so JR knows what he's there for. He's not the kind of guy that thinks the stripper or whatever or the bartender or actually likes him. He knows this is a transaction.
Of course it is.
And he's paying her. He's basically paying her for therapy. The funny thing is he's paying her for therapy that he just balked at Sue Ellen taking their child for. But I mean, the therapist is obviously
What if he had turned it around?
But,
what if she decided that? What if he turned around like, you know what? You like, you get me. And he brings Serena home to Miss Ellie and says, this is who I'm with now. I'd also like to call into question Josh's knowledge of what makes a hooker moist, but maybe we'll do that later.
That was my whole point. Nothing makes anybody that. It's just she's paid to give a shit.
We have to have a code word.
It's the money that she's going to be getting that turns her on.
Yes, the green is what gets her moist. Yes,
right. And she knows that with his power, he has that money that will turn her on. See where I'm going? Okay.
That's what she said.
Oh.
Porn stash.
Again.
Oh, dang. There is another porn stash scene.
Yes, because Pam returns to the hotel with porn stash and Christopher. And some balloons.
No clowns.
That sounds kinky.
Clink.
Balloons.
Bringing the kid home from the party and we're playing 80s porn music.
All right, Diddy,
interesting decisions that have been made.
So he wants to take Pam to Pornstash wants to take her to dinner tomorrow night at 7:15, and Katherine overhears this and says, "Oh well, I'll babysit Christopher. That you two should go."
And then she wants Pam to sign some random paperwork, which Pam signs without reading it. Dun dun dun.
Dumb
Pam,
bitch.
Not great.
Dumb bitch. You don't sign things without reading them.
Oh, well,
And then Katherine goes out in the hall.
Nobody's there to tell her to. It's her sister. She's not going to think twice about that.
Well, Katherine goes out in the hallway and she gets that look, the Katherine look.
Oh, yeah.
Mwah. I like the way you do that. Do that again. Mwah.
No, you get one. You get one of those.
You gave a partial one.
Oh, so funny. This is funny. Mary's dictation actually turned Pornstash into Princess.
Same thing.
Princess and Pam make plans to go out tomorrow.
Princess Stash. We'll call him Princess Pornstash. PPS.
Could we picture Pornstash in a princess dress, like a Disney princess?
Just
Well,
kidding.
you know something.
Okay.
You know something though. Since Disney did buy Fox, Jamie Farr's Colonel Klinger is actually a Disney princess, as is Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror. They're now Disney princesses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But guess what? JR and Sue Ellen and John Ross arrive back at South Fork to move back in. Raul and Paco? Oh, Paco. Paco helped carry their bags. JR makes Teresa uncomfortable by telling her to put Sue Ellen's bags in his room when Sue Ellen has already told her to put them in her new room. JR wants to drive them to the psychologist tomorrow. Sue Ellen scoffs, but JR says he wants to be part of the consultation. So she's like, all right, drive us then. I really don't care. JR doesn't really like that. Like, he hates that she does not give a fuck right now. And I'm like, dude, you did this to yourself.
He did.
Seriously. That's all? Like, you guys aren't commentating on this? Come on.
I mean, I'm glad she had her own room. She needs her privacy and her mental state.
Her privacy?
Privacy.
Yes.
Privacy.
She does need her own space. But remember, she says she's not going to have any relationships with other men. She's there for her son.
Okay.
To raise him at South Fork. No, we'll see how long that lasts.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Y'all keep going. I'm getting a glass of wine.
So then we cut to...
No, go ahead.
Okay, so then we cut to Bobby ski shooting when Katherine comes to meet him, and she's come to tell him that he really needs to talk to Pam tonight, 8 p.m.
Seems a little sus.
Katherine says, come to see Pam. Why don't you come at 8 p.m.? Bobby's like, okay, that's... Excellent. Okay, here's that wonderful scene with JR saying his child is normal.
Oh, here we go.
Mr. Ewing, your child is disturbed.
One more time.
That's it.
Mr. Ewing, your child is disturbed.
There.
That's the clip.
Disturbed.
Yep, your child is disturbed.
Disturbed.
And they're kind of like, what the fuck? And she's like, loads and loads of trauma since day one.
Yeah, then this is the part where she goes through, we talked about earlier, all the stuff. So yeah, his birth, being kidnapped from the hospital, all the turbulent.
His neglect from his mother from the first few months of his
father
life.
was shot. Maybe he wasn't aware of that when he was, a year old. Then they separated.
His parents basically didn't hold him.
Constantly getting grapes shoved in his mouth in every scene.
Keep him from crying, I guess.
He was basically raised by nannies and his grandparents. Yeah. And then, like, when his parents finally took, notice of him, I don't know.
And they separated.
Yes.
And then, let's see, when he was 2, he was, passed back and forth in a airport lobby, by I don't know how many people. He's living on another ranch with some other people that he doesn't know. And then, his
aunt had to kidnap him and get him out of South Fork to get him to his mother.
Right.
And then his father flies his grandmother down and tries to convince his grandmother to take him. Yeah. And his grandmother's like, no.
And they're all talking about this in front of him.
They're handing off the baby. Yeah.
And then he's alone with his mom again, and she's out, dating whoever, and then, for
and then what happened, his parents get back together, everything's good, then all of a sudden nothing's good again.
And
Mommy's drinking again, then fire. Yeah.
And then he turns into another actor completely.
Yes. John Ross is a shapeshifter.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. But anyways, the doctor suggests a day camp. Therapy, socializing, and JR's like, is this some sort of sanitarium?
Sanitarium. Yeah, we're gonna put your kid in a house of quackers.
It's like, dude, have you not ever heard of like summer camp? It's kind of that, but for traumatized kids, and you can afford to send your kid there, so that's a good idea.
And it would make sense to put your kid around other kids his own age instead of leaving him in the house.
He really doesn't have any playmates
who are also mentally ill.
Yep.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A house full of mentally ill people with no other children. Yeah, it's wonderful. All the money in the world can't fix that shit. So Bobby arrives at Pam's. Katherine apologizes, saying she went out with Mark and she had no idea. Oh, Bobby, forgive me. Then she says he should read a letter she found in the trash. Bobby says, no, that would be wrong. And she says, I'm going to read it to you. And she
Bobby's
does.
such an idiot. Like, oh, I found this letter in the trash, all crumpled up. Would you like to read it? Come on, dude.
He's like, no, it's none of my business. And she's like, okay, well, let me read it to you. Like, dude, he said no. I mean, she's...
Like, at what point do you understand you're being manipulated, dude? Come on.
Bobby's a dumbass.
Yeah. And then in the previous scene, he's thanking her for her involvement in trying to... Oh, come on, dude. You're a moron.
He should know that Pam would not have a proxy and she'd handle all this shit by herself eventually. Like, come on,
when does
dude.
Pam have trouble, like, expressing herself anyway?
She doesn't,
right?
ever.
Right. I mean, he's been married to her for however long. Surely he knows that, like, she'll express whatever she's thinking.
Oh, yeah.
She's not writing letters, crumpling them, and putting them in the trash.
So then Katherine tracks down Pam in the hotel gym. Katherine says that her lawyer called and she needs to tell him the divorce is going through. Pam isn't so sure that's what she wants. She's second-guessing JR's threats and wants to fight him.
And Catherine's getting more aggressive, pushing Pam towards, she's gone from just kind of playing devil's advocate and saying these things, and now she's like pushing, like, you have to do this.
Pushing people.
And then Pam's getting more defiant.
It never works out well.
Pam's getting more defiant about everybody trying to push her around. So,
especially when you're trying to meddle in other people's relationships.
So where that last episode was just kind of filler, and the start of this episode is more, passive, and now all of a sudden you can see things coming to a head. Like something's going to happen here.
Something's going to happen. It's ominous.
Dun, 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 dun.
But then we cut to Windsor Meadows Day Camp.
Windsor Meadows Day Camp.
They're getting a tour. Call over Peter Richards, John Ross's counselor, who's doing somersaults on a trampoline.
Everybody's just watching this dude. Just bounce
in his
on
little
the
tiny
trampoline.
shirt. Yes. Best character introduction ever.
This is how you do it, kids. Bounce, bounce, bounce.
So Sue Ellen takes Peter aside to tell him there's nothing actually wrong with John Ross. And Peter's like, well, of course not. Like, we don't want to, like, you're not going to be like, yeah, your kid is disturbed in front of the kid.
Right. When you don't even know.
But also,
him.
That's, I can't judge. I mean, obviously the kid has been through something traumatic. Just like, let the professionals do their
Bouncing
work.
on the trampoline will help.
Yes. So Peter takes him on the trampoline.
Jump up and jump down, up and down.
And, trampolines aren't a thing much anymore because too many injuries. But, I mean, I had one as a kid. They're fun. It's Ewing Oil night now.
Ewing Oil
night. Ewing Oil night. Okay. Now,
Very special. Ewing Oil night.
Dun, dun.
Oh, God. Mary's notes. I gotta read them like she's talking. Okay. Ewing Oil night. Pam calls Bobby to meet tomorrow. She wants to talk. So does he. Thanksgiving Square, 12:30.
Oh,
be there.
Ooh. That's the scene. That's the scene that Mary and I talked about. The 40th.
Again, we don't endorse smoking on this podcast.
I endorse it heavily. And drinking. I went and got wine. I've done my coffee. That was the scene that Mary and I, we sat together in front of there on the 40th when we were like day walking and eating and all that. And we got a picture of us right in front of it. We have to do that this time, all of us.
Did you recreate this scene with one of you playing Pam?
No, I wish
and
we would
playing
have.
Bobby?
I could be a passerby. Sorry.
We walked around there
we could do that
last year, but I didn't recognize it as that. So, but yeah, I'll have to go back and see because now that I've watched it again.
Yeah, I was severely hungover that morning.
We got to do that when we go down there. Try to
we get
location
let's do
hunting.
a whole scene.
Oh, we totally
in
should.
Costume.
I mean, anyway, can bring a wig, I guess. Big ass fucking Pam hair. Sorry.
An auburn wig.
Put that in my to-do list.
But she wants to meet. Let's get to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And find out.
Yes,
what
let's get there quickly.
This is key. This is a huge scene in the history of the show.
I think Pam wants to get back together. I think she's made up her mind.
But first, Bobby's sitting there alone thinking about the letter that Katherine read to him, and so we can kind of see what's on his mind.
And you hear that dialogue in the background. Like his internal
he's processing, dialogue. I can't do this, or I can't make her do something just to make me happy. And then she shows up.
That she does.
Melanie's muted.
She starts to talk. And then he interrupts her and says, "Let me say what I have to say."
Mary said, per usual, this entire situation right here that we're about to watch is the result of two people who are shit at communicating. And I agree 100%.
It's been a reoccurring problem throughout their marriage. Like with the neurofibromatosis and her being pregnant and not being able to tell him and this and that.
And now there are technically two outside parties interfering and making things 10 times worse. Like this whole thing, Katherine's brainchild, or JR's. Both of them, actually. They each have a motive. So, Bobby interrupts her to tell her that he's not going to rush her or push her because he's letting her go.
One of Bobby's great monologues here.
Marriages interrupt us.
So he's like pontificating on life in general and about the situation. It's a great monologue for Patrick Duffy, really, I thought.
We need to print this part of the script out and bring it with us and take 2. I'm being dead serious. I'm not kidding. It's been insane.
And Pam says absolutely nothing and walks away. She could have spoken up. She should have spoken up. You don't need to push me. I still love you. Blah, 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 blah. She says none of that.
That's all her fault for not speaking up. 100%.
Mm-hmm. And then...
What was that song by Led Zeppelin? Communication Breakdown?
Mm-hmm. And then it's a freeze frame on Pam. Drink 2 times if you got some drink.
Well, of course I do.
And scene.
Hey, you guys, we did it in like an hour.
That's it?
Yeah.
And I had so much fun. I'm so sorry. I've been absentee. And guess what? I didn't scream.
No.
But
I had fun too.
Yay.
So Mary and Imposter Mary here give this episode 4.8 bourbons and Thanksgiving Square at 12:30, baby.
And
both of you give it the same thing?
Yes, because I am Imposter Mary.
That's cheating.
Well, mine's kind of.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Mine's kind of the same. Mine is a 4.75, but it's only because, I like the whole thing, and I love the Thanksgiving, But my favorite is the cattle thing. The
cattle auction, yeah. Those are fun.
That.
I think you can catch those sometimes on TV if you have, I think RFD TV maybe.
Oh, the Ray
sometimes has those on. Yeah, that's fascinating to watch.
Okay, yes, it's like on ESPN3 or something, and they have a slap contest too.
The Ocho.
Sold to Ray Krabs at the South Fork.
Okay, y'all. Sorry.
4.65 and some psychological tests. We don't. That's all we can say. We don't know anything about these tests. They're tests.
He's scarred for life.
I'm going with a 4.75 and a clown that makes babies cry.
That creeps me out. For real.
Damn. Creepy. Yeah. So.
This could be a quick turnaround. We might be back next Tuesday.
That's right.
Hey.
And next Tuesday, we will be discussing Season 7, Episode 4, The Long Goodbye.
She's going to make another attempt to try and see Bobby and talk to him.
Yeah, maybe they should see each other. Under conditions that we control, of course.
Are you afraid I'll change my mind?
No, except I know that you're hurting right now. And I don't want you to be alone. I don't want anything to go wrong.
What could go wrong?
They could get back together.
For a change, I think we have a simple divorce.
Bobby?
Was there something you wanted to tell him, Pam?
No, I guess it's all been said.
Wow.
It's all been said. Bare naked ladies, actually.
Wasn't that always the best part when we watched it originally? Like the little previews of next week, and you're like, oh, and you go to bed thinking about like what's gonna happen next week.
Right.
And then as quickly as it was over, they were puts me into Falcon
I had to go to bed when Falcon Press started.
All right, check out ewingbarbecue.com for all things Ewing Barbecue. Until next time, bye.
Bye, y'all.
Take care of yourselves.
Y'all come back now, you do.
Yeehaw.
Imposter Mary.
And scene.